Evening, people. Big up yourselves. Hope you're all well. I'm back, and my voice is just about back as well. I'm still trying to keep hold of it. Thought I'd bring my boy Lewis on tonight and talk all thing transfers. How you doing, Lou?
Yeah, we're all good. We're all good. Like we said, backstage, we haven't signed anyone in the last few days, so it's been a little bit boring, but hopefully we spend another 150 million in the next coming days. But I hope
Yeah,
you're all good
listen
as
to
well,
this.
my guy. Hope you're good.
Listen to this. This is all like exciting times as a Chelsea fan now, whacking cash on players that, let's be fair, some of you don't even know much about. It's mad. But Todd Bowley looks to me as if he's going to be Roman on steroids, do they call him now already? I mean, it's mad. This guy is an absolute nutter. He doesn't care.
It's a
He's
weird
just,
little paradox of like, we got such a promising future ahead, but right now everything looks so gloomy as well. So it's like a mix of both.
yeah, it must be a weird feeling. Like on the pitch, it's not great, but you know that there's going to be some exciting news in terms of transfers. It's like an odd one, isn't it, at the moment? But talk to me
Hmm.
about your transfer window and what you're still to expect as a Chelsea fan, because there's rumours of midfielders, there's rumours of players that are going to be in terms of attacking and defensive minded. I don't really know that Chelsea are done yet, Lou. So what? Come on, man, what's going on, Lewis? Talk to me.
This window's been a lot madder than I expected, but the board actually came out and said to expect this to be treated like a summer window, and we have done it. And fair play to them. And I feel like I can trust their words a lot more now too, because they promised a lot and they're delivering it. I didn't expect us to bring this many players in. If we brought in one or two, I would have been satisfied. But we brought in four forwards. We've made about 5 to 6 signings overall. We're still not done. We're still looking for a right back. We're still looking for a midfielder on top. I do think we're starting to panic a little bit with some of the more recent options that have come out, but I still like the optimism. I still like the persistence of us, and who knows, we might end up with an Enzo. We might potentially get Caicedo, but I don't think anyone's going to get Caicedo really. But even if we don't, I think what we've done at this point is more than enough. And it's just made the work that we have to do in the summer a lot easier. You already know me. I've said it enough times on the football show streams that I'm focused on next season. Next season looks a lot more exciting. I think we're going to be in a much better position by then. This season to me is just a write-off, and I'm treating it as such, unless some madness happens and we do end up back in a top four race, but I just don't see it. But yeah, it's been a great window.
Yeah, it's been mad for you, man. Talk to me about the signings you have made, um, and what you expect from them. Because Mudryk, to be fair, came on the other day and looked sharp. So, what have you made of him and the others you've already signed for Chelsea, mate?
Um, they've all had limited game time except Badia Shield, but most have just shone. Like Badia Shield, first off, has absolutely transformed our backline. We look so much more solid with him, and that gives me a bit more confidence for the second half of the season. Because if we have a defense we can trust, we can get by with a crap attack and just score one goal and get through it. That's what we were doing last season. This season, we just didn't have the defense. Badiashile has come in. He's brought composure. He's brought a great range of passing, smart decision making, anything you could ask from a centre back. Mudryk and Felix, they've had like very short cameos, but they've literally walked into the lineup with barely any game time and have been our best attackers by an absolute mile. So I can already see that the quality is going to improve with the more game time that they have. We haven't seen too much of Fafana. Came on against City. We were 3-0 down anyway. Wasn't going to do anything. Haven't seen Andre Santos either. But the signings that we have made instantly have made an impact on the squad.
Fair play, man. I think Badia Shield, that's definite for me. He's been absolutely superb. I think Mudryk will be a good player. We all know what he's about because we've seen little glimpses of him, and we can see straight away that he's going to be suited to the league. For me, he's quick, he's pacey, he's got both feet, close control. I think technically he's going to be very difficult to come up against. So I'm expecting big things from him. I think Badia Shield, for me, is a player I think you've needed, and I think you wanted Koulibaly to be. I don't think Koulibaly has been that guy. I think that he has definitely transformed your defense more than Koulibaly has. And it's only early days for him as well. But I wanted to ask you, Lewis, where do you feel like you are actually short? I know you're buying madness, you're doing mad things. Do you think there's like, wow, we seriously need to fill this gap still in January, or do you think you're about all right?
Right back in midfield, we still need to, but I wanted that to be our first priorities, and I said I would be annoyed if they weren't. But with the way we've handled this window, if we do ignore a midfielder, if we do ignore a right back, we're not making top four anyway. So I just thought to myself, why would I be so annoyed? Like, we're clearly going to sort out that issue in the summer anyway if we don't do it now. I would like us to push for right back a bit more than midfield just because I don't want us rushing James back and over relying on him because that's what causes him to get injured all the time. But midfield, I don't care about. Like, I don't really have faith in our midfield anyway. But I don't think we're reaching the targets we want to reach for. So it's not that deep anyway. It'd be nice to see if we plug those gaps, but I don't want us panic buying because that's part of the reason why we always end up with crappy options to deal with when we're complaining about our depth. So yeah, sort out midfield, sort out right back if we can't, if we can. If we can't, oh well, we're not making top four anyway. So it's not that deep.
Yeah, I suppose that's the way you're looking at it. Is differently to some Chelsea fans who will obviously still be excited that you can have a great season. Listen, you talk about a right back. We'll come into midfield in a minute. Who's out there at the moment you think Chelsea might go for in that position, and who would you like to see the club go for?
We're linked with Pedro Porro and with Malo Gusto. Porro, I like. I think he's a good right back, but he's costing more than Gusto is right now. And there's also that off the pitch stuff with Jao Felix. Did he sleep with his missus? Did he not? And yeah, I want to keep Felix, so maybe he wouldn't be the right addition to the dressing room. Malo Gusto looks like a very good talent. He's got a great delivery into the box. He's rapid as hell too. Does his job defensively, very well rounded. But Leon don't want to sell. They want to keep him at any cost because he's a key player for them, and I get that. We might get him on. We might get him if we loan him back for the rest of the season, which I wouldn't mind if we really can't get him or anyone else. But we need a right back in now. It defeats the purpose if we sign one just to send him back for 6 months. So I don't know. I haven't heard any other names come in. There's been the likes of Jokanovic from Celtic. There's been who else? There's one off the top of my head. I can't remember for the life of me. But no, Dumfries. Dumfries. That's it. We've been linked with him too. Dumfries looks like he costs a bit too much. Juranovic went really quiet. I think Malo Gusto would probably be our best shout in terms of value for money, but it's going to take a lot to get him from Leon right now.
Well, I was speaking to Tobes last night, and he believes that Porro could be on his way to Spurs. So if Chelsea are going to come in, then you can do, because if you can take any player off Arsenal, you're definitely going to be able to take him off
Mm-hmm.
Spurs. So let's watch this space with that one. Do you think, Lewis, before I move into your midfield, with this fullback situation and centre backs, I said this to Matisse like a while back. Do you think Chelsea were a little bit too quick, perhaps now, looking in hindsight, to get rid of some of their young players, Tariq Lamptey, Livramento? Obviously, Nathan Aki, we've spoken about before. We've obviously got Mark Guehi, Tamori. Some of those options might have been okay for squad players at Chelsea now. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, we definitely were, but it was an old regime and a completely different way of thinking. They would use those youth players just for profit, either in terms of loan fees or in terms of player sales, or just loaning players out, raising their ability, and then selling them for more the profit. There's a couple names there that I would have kept, like the likes of Tamori, Gay, Lamptey. I would have liked to, but at the time there was just no pathway for him. Azpilicueta was still there in top form. James was the obvious replacement. Lamptey, it is what it is. I completely understood him leaving. Even though that's a Tamori, like Lampard just didn't play him. Didn't really like him. But he hasn't really been he's been great for Milan, but he's dipped off a little bit this season. I don't think he plays at the level that a lot of people talk about him to be at. There are mistakes in his game. Gay looks good as well. We could have probably eased him in a little bit more because he didn't really have the loan spells or the push forward that Tamori had in 1920. But it was a completely different way of thinking back then. I think we'd be a lot smarter now.
Yeah, fair play, man. It was a different regime as well, of course. Looking into your midfield, mate, you're linked with everybody. This Enzo Fernandez deal, if that happens, wow, the release clause of over 100 million. There's talks of Caicedo, who we're going to call and talk about. Arsenal now want as well. £75 million, Sky Sports are reporting. When I look also at Onana at Everton, he's apparently got the hump and he's gone off of training along with Anthony Gordon. Looks
Mm.
like Everton are in a right mess. Um, but I feel Chelsea need like a Thomas Partey type. So I think Onana, Caicedo would definitely be that.
Mm.
I believe from what I see in the World Cup that Enzo is a lot more forward thinking, but perhaps I'm wrong. What's your thoughts on these players? Do you think any of those names have got potential to be in Chelsea shirts this summer? January window.
Nah, not on any three of them, to be honest. I feel like for me, if we really wanted, if we really wanted Enzo, but if we were going to pay the money, we would have paid it by now because they're just asking for 120 mil up front. I think it's too much for us to even try and pay and dodge FFP because there's taxes on top and they're asking for the entire transfer fee up front. So that's about 160 million euros. That's not going to do well by the books. Onana apparently rejected Chelsea to stay for Everton, which I mean is fine. Apparently, he's not as bad as he looks. It's just the Everton squad, and he's very good defensively, but there's questions about his ability on the ball. So I'm not really too sold on that. And Caicedo, like I think Brighton told both of us to f off really with the price tag. 100 million is just there straight to just try and push us away till the summer. And I don't want Chelsea to pay that money. I want Caicedo, but at the 70 to 80 million that he was priced at, I wouldn't really put him for that amount. So I don't think we get any of them. And I'd rather we just didn't panic buy. Anyone who we get, I'll give them faith. I'll trust in the board and their scouting and everything like that. But if we're not getting top tier talent, I would rather we just leave it because, like, the last thing our midfield needs is more limited players. We need someone who's bringing attributes into the team. We need long-term midfield options, not any short-term ones. Only do that if it's a loan fee or if it's a loan spell.
Fair play, man. What about this from the Undertaker CFC saying that Chelsea are bidding for the Southampton midfielder? Is that Lavia? Are they talking about Lavia?
He must be Lavia, must be. I heard we might go in for him towards the end of the window. I'd love him. He'd be such a great option for us to have.
Looks good, doesn't he?
But would Southampton sell? Like they're bottom of the table fighting relegation. They're just accepting they're going to go down if they sell him.
Listen, that's absolutely fair play to you. Just touching on Arsenal quick, Chaitanya, big up yourself, mate. Thanks for the super chat. Absolute legend. Says, big up, boys. How would you rate the January transfer window? We'll come back to that. Which centre midfielder would be ideal for Arsenal? And also the predicted starting 11 against City. Well, first of all, starting 11 against City is the first team. It's not going to be, but for me, it would be. You can't drop 4 or 5 players out this side and expect to go to the Etihad and go through. I think we need to go start full strength. After this, I don't think we've got long until we play our next game. So we've got some, it's not like we've got long, sorry. So we've got some time. So for me, yeah, I think go full strength. In terms of which centre midfielder would be ideal for Arsenal, the answer is Declan Rice, but we're not going to get him until the summer. So if you're looking at this window, then maybe Caicedo would be a great shout for us. But again, like Lewis has said, I don't see him going anywhere. I think now that Brighton have got rid of Trossard and Cucurella and some of their other players of late, I just think they will say, come back in the summer. We're on fire. He's not going anywhere. How would I rate the January transfer window? Listen, I don't think we can say that right now, but Lewis, you probably can because you've signed quite a few. How do you rate Chelsea's window so far?
Right now, it's been like a 7.5, 8. I think you get a right back, it's a 9. You get a midfielder, a quality midfielder as well. That's a 10 right there. And you've sorted nearly everything.
Fair play, man. Fair play. Anthony Gordon, just quickly, was a player that you were linked with in the summer. Do you think that you could go back in for him, or are you just not looking at that position now?
I hope we don't. It doesn't make sense. It really doesn't. I don't think Anthony Gordon's like a terrible player or anything. I just don't really think he's what we need. I don't think he's at the level of what we need either. And I think Everton are just going to ask way too much for what his quality's worth. Looks like he's going to go Newcastle. Fair play to him. I think that would be a progressive club for him to play in and potentially break into. But yeah, I'm not really too keen on Anthony Gordon personally.
No, I'm not so sure about him either. I personally feel like we've got a good player potentially on our hands here, but I don't think it's one that will hit the heights. But I could be wrong. You know, a lot of players get to that certain age and just go bang. So he could do that. Let's talk about Chelsea's squad, mate. Let's do a little bit of keep, sell, or bench. It's hard to do that in January because you can't really get rid of 15 players. You can't really sign 15 players. Yeah, it'd be nice. I know Chelsea are trying to, though, mind you, it seems. But if you look at the kind of long-term future or the next 5-year plan of Chelsea, I'm just going to go through your squad. I want you to tell me what you'd like to see happen kind of within the next couple of windows with this Chelsea squad, because it is quite big, but there's also some gaps. So let's talk about the goalkeeping situation, Lewis. Like, let's just bring them all into it. You've obviously got Kepa, Mendy, and Bettinelli. Like, would you scrap them completely, start again? Would you keep one as backup? Would you keep them and be happy with them? Talk to me, man. Goalkeeper at Chelsea. What do you think?
Mendy goes first because he's just fallen off a cliff over the last year, and he doesn't really fit Potter's style of play. Potter likes goalkeepers that can play out the back, and Mendy is horrific playing out the back. So yeah, Mendy straight sell. Kepa, I'm in the middle with him. I think he'd be good backup, but he's also on 150k a week and was a 72 million pound goalkeeper. I do think he's got good character, though, good leadership. I think he'd be good for the dressing room and a good number 2 to rely on. Plus a great penalty option. Like, I did like Tuchel bringing him off the bench in extra time. I thought it was a good move. Even if it didn't work in the Carabao Cup final, I'd seen it enough times before that to believe that it is something that can work. So Kepa, I'm in the middle. I probably would just keep him on the bench. Bettinelli, I don't care. If you stay or you go, like, it is what it is. Like, there's always number 3 and 4 goalkeepers in squads. What you see is what you get. If he's there, he fills a position, whatever. But yeah, Bettinelli can just do whatever personally.
Fair play, man. Fair play. In terms of a goalkeeping option, who would you like to see you go for as a number 1?
There's a couple names that we've been linked there, but no one really wows me. Diogo Costa would be nice, though. Very good playing the ball out the back. Very good shot stopper as well. He's growing at a massive rate already for his age. I think he won Porto Player of the Season and carried what was meant to be a very meaty back four to a very good defensive record as they won the treble last season. So I'll probably go for him. Oh, you're
Fair
on mute,
play,
bro.
man. Yeah, sorry, bro. Fair play, man. Listen, let's talk a little bit moving forward into your side, because you've got hell a lot of players here, bro. Badia Shield, we won't go into, but I think we've made it clear that he's going to come and do good things for you. What would you do with Thiago Silva, bro?
Sign. He can have the 8-year contract personally, because this guy ages like a tree. He's just gonna keep growing, and he's 38 years old, and he plays like he's 28. I'm apparently going to re-sign him to a 1-year extension anyway. Even if he declines, I don't care. It'll be like, finally, you're 39 now? It's about time you showed you're human. And I still think he'd be good leadership. He'd bring experience to what is going to be a younger dressing room then too. Yeah, keep under all circumstances.
Fair play to you, man. As for Chalobah, I kind of feel like there's a player in him there. What's your thoughts? Would you keep hold of him?
Yeah, I'd hold on to him. I think he's very dependable. Has a mistake in him, but he's young. He's young. I think that's understandable in defenders at that age. They usually mature around the age of 24, 25. And for what I've seen already, he can be very, very consistent at times. Before the Fulham loss, I would have said he was our most consistent centre-back this season, even over Thiago Silva. So yeah, Chalobah stays. I'll keep him.
Fair play to you, man. The other two centre-backs, Koulibaly and Fofana. What are you doing with both of them? Fofana, I guess, keep, because, I mean, he's good.
I think he's been good for the time he's been there. Koulibaly, though, like, I've said he needs a season to adjust. And if it wasn't for the signing of Badia Shield, I'd still be pushing for that. But now Koulibaly is a straight number 4. Usually I'd keep him in as a number 2, next to Silva, because I did see the quality in him. But Chalobah's been better than him this season. Badia Shield has already been better than him this season. And he's on 300k a week. Can't have that on the bench. So you might see Koulibaly leave in the summer. It's a shame, because for someone who's such a good centre-back, he'll be looked at as one of the worst signings we've ever made. But it is what it is, and he took the number 26 as well. It's long. It is long. Let's sell.
Right back, Azpilicueta and Reece James. What you doing?
Yeah, as soon as we get another right back in, Azpi needs to go, respectfully. Chelsea legend, but he's past it. He's so past it. You can't trust him for more than one game. I get we're talking about keeping leadership in the dressing room, but We can have that in Silva as we go further forward. I'll talk about Jorginho, but you can have that in him as well. Don't really need that from Aspi. Plus, he's on 180k a week, so no, I'd sell him.
And James, I mean, I know he's got injury problems, but what a player! I actually think he's probably one of your best players. Like, no, like not even joking. I absolutely love the kid.
Oh,
I think
he is. 100% is. Like, I'm glad we got him on the 7-year contract too. First player that deserved it.
Yeah, no, listen, I'm for that. And I watched England under-20s at Colchester United's ground because I'm an Essex boy. And I literally saw this kid and I thought, who is he? And he was on loan at Wigan at the time. And I thought, who's this guy? He looks absolutely unreal. And it was Reece James. And I just thought to myself, you're going to be a player. And listen, he's an absolute baller. Mate, left backs, about 120 million you've spent on left backs, Chilwell and Cucurella. Are you happy with both of them?
Yeah, I'd keep the pair of them, to be honest. Chilwell's not been great this season, but that's partly due to coming back from the ACL. I think you lose like your game management because of all the time that you spent out. And it's been obvious because he looked so much better before then. I'll give him time, though. I do think he's a quality left back. And having the pair of them, that is such a solid position. I think Cucurella has been someone who's been scapegoated a little bit by Chelsea fans. Yeah, he's not had the best season for us, especially compared to last season at Brighton. But there is a quality player there. I see it in some of his passing at the start of the season, some of his defensive awareness, his positional awareness. It's all there to see. And I think he'll get a lot more comfortable with Chelsea as the team develops. So I'll keep both of them.
Nah, fair play to you, man. Now we go into midfield, man. Jorginho and Kante. They've been brilliant servants at times for you. They've had unbelievable moments. And I would go as far to say that Kante has got to be known and seen as one of the best in the Premier League in terms of his position. What would you do with these two?
Depends on the contracts because they both got 6 months left. I would keep both of them as rotation, but I'd give Kante a pay cut because he just can't stay available. And 290k a week, that's something that you give all your best starters and your most regular starters, the players that you rely on. That was Kante once upon a time, but he's not available like that anymore. So if they took a pay cut, Jorginho can keep the same wages on 150k a week. That's not that deep. I would keep both of them as rotation. If not, sell the pair of them. But they can't be starters. They can't be consistent starters next season. We need a completely new revamped midfield. We can't rely on Jorginho. He's declining. We can't rely on N'Golo Kante because he's just not fit. So I'd say bench.
Yeah, I hear that. I actually think they might both leave, and I think you'll upgrade it completely. But let's see what happens. Now we come on to some players that I think you might consider, but let's see what you say. Loftus-Cheek, Conor Gallagher, and Zakaria. What's your thoughts on those three?
Zakaria ain't been here long enough. That's the thing. But if you ask me
I
right
quite
now,
like him.
straight up, that's the thing. Off the limited time I've seen, it's enough. Like, Man City was good enough for me to say I'd keep him for 27 million. At the worst, he would just be depth. But he looks like he'd be decent depth anyway. He does look a bit sloppy at times with his passing. He does look a bit sloppy. That's why I do think I need to see more from him, like just more game time, so I've got much more of a surface area to judge from. But yeah, like he looks decent. I'd say bench. Loftus-Cheek, Gallagher, straight sells, the pair of them. Loftus-Cheek, I think, would be decent depth if he won on 150k. I don't think he's good enough for that for another long-term contract. And I could say, yeah, keep Jorginho. I think Jorginho is better than Ruben, so I'd let Ruben go. Gallagher just doesn't really impress me at all. Like, he runs around. He has decent passing from midfield, but there's nothing really there that says, wow, okay, I'd keep you. So I'd just let him go too, personally. I think he'd be better off at a Palace or something.
Fair play, man. So now we come into Kovacic and Mount, two players that Chelsea fans love or have loved. But where do you see their long-term futures, Lewis?
Mount, he needs to figure out this contract situation because if he doesn't sign by the end of the season, he will be gone. And I think a lot of Chelsea fans don't think it will happen. But this board will not let Mount have the leverage of trying to negotiate with less than a year left on his contract and potentially leaving for free. If he doesn't get this sorted by the end of the season, he is gone. Kovacic, he's not too sure about his future. But as a player, I'd say bench personally, just because again availability is an issue, and he just hasn't had the best season. He's not had the best season really. Like he's been a bit sloppy with his passing, doesn't really control the midfield, rarely does. And yeah, if he goes back to the Kovacic of old, I'd start him, but he's been a bit too inconsistent for my liking.
Yeah, I hear that, and I think he's been a good servant. So he always rated the player, um, but I think it could be a squad player now. I think you're going to revamp your midfield. So yeah, I mean, listen, you're spending enough money, so it looks like it's going to continue. I'm going to read some of these out. Just quickly, your thoughts on them. Some of them are brand new signings. Chukwuemeka, thoughts?
Looks energetic. We've played him on the left the last game or two, and that's not really the best position for him. But yeah, I mean, he looks exciting, but still hasn't really had too much game time to really judge him on. So I just bench, just keep him on the bench.
Fair play. João Felix, what would you like to see happen there?
It's been 60 minutes, but send Havertz the other way and give me Felix straight up. That is the player that I've been waiting for. So yeah, keep 100%.
Mudryk,
Keep again. 30-minute cameo, that was magical. I haven't seen someone take on players like that since Eden Hazard. Just more of the same, please. But yeah, keep.
fair play. And the other two new lags, Madueke, is it? And Fofana. You happy with those?
Yeah, I haven't even watched Madueke play yet, so I'd put a question mark on him. But both of them, Fofana got 45 minutes against City and we were 3-0 down and we could barely pass forward. He was just there, just doing sprints. So I'll see what they're like with more game time, but I can't tell you with them two. I really can't. Even Chukwuemeka, I've seen 30 minutes here and there and stuff. But yeah, we'll see what happens with them.
Fair play, man. Right, now we come into it. Pulisic.
Sell. I was willing to give him time because I do think he's a bit underrated, to be honest, by Chelsea fans. He was our highest playmaker per 90, second highest chance creator per 90 as well. Just always seemed to have a setback and just never got played by either Potter or Tuchel. But we brought in Mudryk. We now have Madueke and Sterling on the right. There's not really room for Pulisic now. And Pulisic wants more game time. He's been asking it for the last 18 months. He's just going to leave, so just sell.
Aubameyang.
Sell. And I wish it could have been better. I really do. Because all I wanted was one dagger against Arsenal. And if Havertz could pass, he would have had two. But now it's just 7 touches a game. He's looked at as a flop. It's not really his fault. We all know Oba ain't the same Oba at Arsenal. He's 33 years old. But if you make chances for him, he will score goals. We barely make chances for him. But he's also a short-term fix. He's 33, so just sell.
Fair, I hear that. Sterling.
I'd keep him. I think he has been disappointing under Potter. He's not the main man that he wanted to be. And he is on 300k a week, but that comes with the pedigree of Raheem Sterling and what he's brought over the last 7 years. I'd keep him. I think he'd do a lot better with better players around him. I don't think this is an excuse like we use for other players because Sterling has literally shown that with better players around him. So yeah, I'd keep Sterling. I think he'd be a very good addition for us once we're a bit more serious.
Yeah, I hear that. He's Premier League proven and he does it every year, to be fair, in terms of
Mm-hmm.
scoring goals. Ziyech, talk to me.
He's been good the last 2 games, but like I'm
Agreed.
not sold off the last 2 games either. He's just never really fit us unless he has a mad turn of events under Graham Potter, which I won't count out, but I don't really believe in. I'd sell because he's wanted to leave for a while now. But I think there's a bit of a question mark too because Potter, I think, will start giving him a bit more of an opportunity. And if he takes it, because he'll be in a much more comfortable position for himself, maybe things will change, but we'll have to see. We'll have to see.
I actually think he'll do well at another club. I think you might see Ziyech go and do quite well. So I
Mm-hmm.
think he'd be a player that I'd be interested to see if he does move.
Yeah,
What
he was a
about
victim of the system with Chelsea. Tuchel played
Yeah,
like 3-4-3 players tight in the middle. He needs to be out wide just doing his thing. So yeah, I agree.
fair play, man. What about injured at the moment? What about Broya or Broa?
I'd keep him. Like Fofana's come in just in case Broja doesn't work out. But if they both work out, we've got 2 quality strikers to pick from. He looked very good for someone who was so raw. Like the way he turns for someone at that size and that sort of strength. There's a very good player that you can mold into, but he's got the ACL injury, the dreaded ACL. So I don't know what his development's going to be like now. I'd give him time though. We did sign him onto a 4-year contract just before that because we're so lucky with injuries. So give him the time through the contract and see how he performs. And I don't know. We'll judge from there.
Fair play, man. Last one, Kai Havertz.
Sell. I'd sell, but I don't know who would take him for 50 million. So we're probably going to have to keep him. So maybe bench or sell. See how he's like in the second half of the season. The new buzzword from our fan base is let's see how he performs with ballers like Mudryk and Felix around him. So yeah, let's see how he does it because he's going to play as the number 9. Potter doesn't rate Aubameyang and he doesn't have enough faith in Fofana, so it will be Havertz up top. You have the whole second half of the season that you apparently thrive in. So let's see. I could easily be swayed, but if that doesn't turn him around, nothing will, and just sell him for 30.
Fair play, man. I need to ask you this because I don't have it in front of me. Any players out on loan that you think, yeah, looking to keep, or do you think you'll be selling any on? What's your thoughts on the loan players?
Maybe there's someone I'm not thinking of, but the loan army hasn't really wowed me or anything. I've heard Ian Matson's done well at Burnley, but we already have 2 left backs in there, so I don't really know what his route to development is.
And you got Lewis Hall as well.
Oh yeah, and Lewis Hall.
Coming
By the
through.
way, keep 100%. That
Yeah, he
there is
looks
a
decent.
player in Lewis Hall, and I'm looking forward to seeing how he grows. But yeah, no one else has really stood out to me. Hudson-Odoi's been on loan. Haven't heard from him all season. Before I heard that he hasn't had a take on or a chance created in his last 11 games, and he got hooked at halftime yesterday. So it's not looking good. But yeah, I don't think anyone's really standing out for me.
Yeah, fair play to you, man. Listen, last thing I want to do, I want you to go through 1 to 11, the best Chelsea side that you think you can put out. And then after that, I want you to look at the gaps that you think you can hugely upgrade on within that 11 to make you up there with City, Arsenal at the moment, fighting at the top. So the mic is yours, man.
Okay, so for right now, I'd say 4-2-3-1. I'd go Kepa with everyone fit, right? Or just the
Yeah.
squad we have now? All right, cool. So Kepa, James, Badiashile, Silva, Cucurella. I'd go Jorginho and Kante in DM. I'd go Felix, Mudryk, and Sterling in the attacking midfield positions, and I'd go for Aubameyang up top. Sorry, I still trust Ober over Kai. Is what it is. But yeah,
That's fair, man.
that would be my team. And for the spots that we'd improve on, DM, I'd pick up top and in goal. Yeah, DM up top and in goal. Maybe another 10. Potentially to compete with João Felix. And then you just, sell Mount or sell Kai. And that would work.
Yeah, I hear that. I look at that 11. You definitely need a new goalkeeper. I'd chuck 35 to 40 million at Villa, try and get Emi Martinez. That's what I'd do if I was Chelsea.
Apparently his save percentage is crap, though. That's the only thing that warded me off him.
Yeah, I'm not really into like those kind of stats, but when it does look at a goalkeeping situation, then yeah, I could see why that would worry you. I think I would go with 2 midfielders, and I would upgrade on both Kante and Jorginho there. Maybe in the summer, Declan Rice could be an option for you. I know that Arsenal want him, but let's be real. If Chelsea want him, they can outbid us. And Enzo is clearly a player that you want. And then up top, I mean, take your pick. Victor Osimhen is absolutely killing it over in Napoli. Player that I would like. Absolutely superb. So there's some options there for Chelsea. In terms of a first 11, I still think you've got the likes of Chilwell. You talk about another right back coming in, centre backs. You've got some cover now. Midfield, I think you will revamp. So when you look at it like that, Lou, I know that you're having a shocking season. Maybe you're right. Maybe you have to write this one off and then just try and go again and start again. Give Potter that time, see what he can do this year. And in the summer, maybe you can have new Chelsea, new season, new Potter. Is that your kind
Mm.
of attitude right now?
I would hope so, but I just don't think we're going to be able to do it this season. I think we might have a little renaissance towards the end, but I think we've just done too much damage at the first half for us to turn it around now. It would take a massive bottle job from the top four for that to happen. And yeah, other than that, I don't really see anything happening for this season. But next season, I'm very excited for. Next season, I'm really looking forward to. I think with just a couple more additions in the summer, even if we're out of the Champions League, we have a team that could potentially compete on all four fronts. Potentially. But a lot still needs to be done.
Yeah, and I think you'll do it. I think you will. I think you will get a lot done. I think the money is there, and this guy is absolute crazy and not afraid to spend it. So, fair play to you,
Mm-hmm.
man. Future looks bright in terms of new players coming in at Chelsea. Just lastly, I can't let you go without touching on Arsenal. Um, do you think, Lewis, that like this window for Arsenal is probably one of the most important in a long, long time? We're sitting 5 points clear at the top. Win our game in hand against Everton. We can go 8 points clear. Still got to play Manchester City twice, which some people see as a bad thing. But if we don't lose those games, it must be a good thing. We've brought in Trossard, which I'm going to ask you about what you think of that signing. And we're linked with a defensive midfielder and a right back. And we've already brought in another centre back. What's your thoughts on Arsenal's transfer window, and do you think that so far so good for Arsenal?
Um, I do want to see how a couple of them perform, but I think you sorted out your depth in good positions. That's all that you needed to do. Your starting 11 speaks for itself. It was just what do you do in terms of injuries? Trossard, I think, is very versatile. The other two I haven't really seen too much of, but it looks like you guys are still going in the right direction. I don't think you made a step backwards in your window, and I don't think you've gone sideways. So, yeah, I think it's been good for you guys.
Yeah, fair play, man. Fair play. Obviously, we're linked with Fresneda as a right back, 18 years old, going back to Valladolid. But apparently, Dortmund and Newcastle want him as well. So they're saying at the moment they've not received official bids, but obviously, lots of clubs sniffing around him. The Real Sociedad defensive midfielder that I'm not going to try and butcher his name. Apparently, we're interested in 23, and he's been a big reason as to why they've been competing with Madrid and Barcelona this season. We're linked with him. They want us to meet the release clause, which is around 50 to 55 million pounds. But apparently, he doesn't want to leave Sociedad this season in January. He wants to stay and see what he can do there and then have a summer move. So watch this space. And obviously, Caicedo at 75 million. I think if we're paying that, that would be actually quite fair for a player who's highly rated. But are Brighton going to let him and Trossard go both to Arsenal? I'd be amazed if that happens. I really would. So watch this space,
Mm.
guys, and let's see what happens. Big up yourself, Lewis, mate. Thank you so much for coming on, bro. Let people know where they can find you, man.
Yeah, guys, I'm on Carefree Lewis G or Chelsea Fan TV, so check out both of them. But big up for having me on, Dan. Big up the chat as well. And yeah, like, subscribe, all of that, and love.
Love, bro. Listen, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure you like and subscribe. We're up to 7K people. Thank you so much for that. Absolutely superb to hit that this quickly. So thank you so much. Keep liking and subscribing. I'm going to be back later on, so don't go anywhere. Tonight at 9 o'clock, I've got all the guys coming on to talk about the Premier League fan debate, transfer window. Want to talk about Fulham. We've got Emilio on from Fulham. Want to talk a little bit about what the other clubs are doing around us. And we will see you then. So make sure you tune in at 9 o'clock, people. We will see you next time. And as always, up the arse. Take care, guys.